Hi, I'm Bob from World 5 List, and from tigers hunting down their poachers to dogs destroying cars, here are 9 times that animals took revenge. Number 9. An elephant is protective, 100%. Poaching is a serious threat to any endangered species, and many are on the verge of extinction because of it. Elephants are no exception to the rule. This is tragic on a whole lot of levels, but one of the main ones is that elephants are protected to sometimes extreme degrees. Yet poachers don't care, and to try and hunt them anyway. Which brings us to our first story where an elephant got some revenge. In Namibia, there's a protected reserve area where elephants reside. But that doesn't stop poachers, and one poacher by the name of Jose Monsalves was leading a group of poachers into the protected area to kill an elephant. The group was actually experienced in hunting them, especially Jose, which makes what happened next both ironic and really a matter of karma. As he surveyed the area to find one particular elephant, another one spotted him. And remember, elephants never forget. Anticipating what was about to happen, the elephant then charged towards Jose, trampling and killing him, which made the rest of the hunting group run away. So the hunter got hunted, and not only that, but the elephant that killed him was the elephant they were all looking for in the first place. Number 8. A venomous pop star. Now, there are many entertainers in the industry who try to use props and gimmicks to give themselves an edge, and in Indonesia, one such pop star, named Irma Buell, was a talented singer, known for giving some majestic performances. But to truly take her act up to the next level, she decided to use live snakes as props in her performances. Adding to the sadness of what I'm about to tell you is that some of the snakes on stage were poisonous and didn't have their venom removed before being placed there. Unlike a lot of entries on the list, how Buell angered the snakes wasn't really all that intentional. She was doing her performance and the snakes were slithering around, but she accidentally stepped on one. The problem was, she stepped on a king cobra. Now, out of instinct, the king cobra bit her in the leg, and venom instantly entered into her system. She would be offered the anti-venom, but, she refused to take it because she wanted to keep performing. The show must go on, people. And it did for about 45 minutes before she collapsed and died. Now, as her father noted in an interview after the tragedy, there was no way to really predict what would happen, as Buell was very used to having snakes in her routine, and no amount of skill or training can override a snake's instincts when it feels threatened. But, you could have used ones that weren't poisonous. Number 7. An octopus with a grudge. But if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. I'm glad to see you again. And if you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell before you leave, because I have more great videos in store. Now, this story's really funny in my opinion because it proves you just can't predict animals. It takes place in an aquarium, one that happened to be housing an octopus by the name of Truman. Now, here's where it's important to state that octopuses, or octopi, are very intelligent creatures. They know how to do a whole lot of things, and their memories are actually really sharp, as you're about to find out. In the aquarium that held Truman, there was a woman who volunteered at the facility, and for whatever reason, Truman just really didn't like her. And from within the confines of his home in the aquarium, he would shoot water at her, but only at her. And he continued to do it, no matter when or where it was that she showed up. If she arrived, Truman would strike. But here's the funny twist. The lady left after a while because of college, and not because of Truman. And after she left, Truman became a whole lot more docile, and didn't shoot water at anyone. But then one day she came back for a visit, and when she did, Truman would strike again. You just can't help but wonder what was going through Truman's head when she returned that day. Was it joy that he could shoot her again? Anger that she had returned? Nobody knows, but that octopus sure could hold a grudge. Number 6. Territorial monkeys. In 2012, a war would rage for 6 months in the Congo, and the result of it would force the chimpanzees out of their homes. This scarred the chimps, and when they moved to an area closer to the village of Tongo, they viewed all humans as a threat. Now, to that end, they then began to attack the villagers, and were so vicious in fact that they even managed to murder a few of them. Further proof that man's wars affect all life on Earth. Number 5. Sticking it to the man. Now, you ever hear the phrase, "don't poke the bear"? But this doesn't just apply to bears. It's to humans and animals alike, and in a very literal case, it applies to a cheetah. The place is Lake Nakuru National Park in Kenya, where a cheetah was being mean to some local communities, so a park ranger, brought in to fetch the cheetah, wanted to move it to a new location. The ranger did so, but upon bringing it to its new home, the cheetah didn't exactly want to leave the cage, so then a fellow ranger named Alexander Rono then decided to poke the cheetah with a stick from the cabin of the truck they were in. That didn't really end well, because at first the cheetah just roared at the rangers, which should have been a hint, but Rono kept on poking and poking, so the cheetah left the cage, and then went straight for the cabin of the truck. It eventually jumped into the window area of the truck as Rono tried to roll it up, allowing the cheetah to get part of its body inside. A massive battle would take place, but eventually Rono kicked the cheetah in the face and got it out of the truck. However, the damage had already been done because it carved deeply into Rono's face, almost making him go blind. Rono required a whole lot of stitches and surgery and admitted that he will never forget what happened. Number 4. The Fox and the Hounded. This ironic tale is about a hunter who tried to kill a fox, and it happened in 2011 in Belarus, where a hunter seemingly had a fox dead to rights after he shot it. In order to confirm the kill, the hunter approached the fox, and when he noticed it was alive, tried to use the butt of his gun to kill it. And that's where things went wrong. For though shot, the fox actually sprang up and started to scrap with the hunter. Eventually, the fox got him in a position where his paw ended up on the trigger of the gun, and the fox pulled the trigger, shooting the hunter and killing him. Now, while I can't confirm that this is the first time an animal's used a gun on a hunter, it's gotta be one of the few. So the real story here is that the hunter got outfoxed. Number 3. A bird dies and gets a killer locked up. If there's anything worse than poaching, it's the needless death that happens at times during home robberies, and for Kevin Butler of Texas, this was set to be his fate. Butler was a simple man. He had a home, a pet cockatoo, and was a huge NBA fan, so much that he named his pet cockatoo after his favorite player, Larry Bird. Anyway, the two were living the simple life when in 2001, a pair of thieves would enter into the house and promptly attack Butler and kill him. Seeing this, Bird then went after the duo and managed to get some hits in, but not enough to stop him, and thus Bird died as well. Fear not though, there is a happy ending of sorts. Police would arrive on the scene and witness the aftermath of what had happened, and as they looked for evidence to try and find out who did it, they noticed that Bird had something in his beak. Upon examining the contents, they were able to extract the DNA of the assailants who killed Butler and Bird, and both thieves were convicted of thievery and murder, then sentenced to life in prison. So it's easy to see that without Bird doing what he did, the killers may have never been caught. Number 2. Dog-eat-car world. Stray animals are nothing new, but when you mess with one, it can cause problems you didn't expect. The best example of this is what happened to a man in China who was going about his day when he came across a stray dog lying down in a certain spot, particularly his parking spot. Now, instead of encouraging the dog to leave, the man just straight up kicked him out of the spot so that he could park. Ironically though, the dog didn't immediately retaliate. Instead, it decided to call in some backup. And by backup, I mean fellow stray dogs who then promptly went to town on the car that was parked where the dog had been resting. It's important to note that a dog's bite strength is incredibly impressive, and though they weren't able to rip the car to shreds per se, they were able to put some major dents in the metal fenders, rip off the windshield wipers, and cause all kinds of other damage. The other irony here is that the man wouldn't have found out about the attack, except that his neighbor heard the commotion, and when she saw the dogs attacking the car, she recorded it with her cell phone. Never forget, ladies and gentlemen, animals are intelligent, and they know how to hurt you if you give them the chance. Number 1. Eye of the tiger. There's no doubt that there are certain animals you don't want to piss off, and I would think that tigers are near the top of the list. Yet poachers go after them because of their beauty, the rarity, and the prize worthiness. But for one particular poacher, that backfired in the biggest way possible. In Russia, a poacher by the name of Vladimir Markov found a Siberian tiger, which is the largest subspecies of tiger in the world. It apparently had been hunting some prey and was feasting on it when Markov came into view. And then Markov decided to shoot it. Now, the tiger lived but was forced to flee. Markov then decided that if he couldn't have the tiger, he would take the prey that it had just killed. Now, you could argue which one is the bigger mistake, but the result is honestly the same. The tiger was pretty angry, so it did what any animal seeking revenge would do. It tracked Markov back to his house. Now here's a reminder, this is the wilderness of Russia, and the tiger was shot, and it should have made it harder for it to track Markov, but it didn't. The tiger found the cabin that Markov was living in, but to its dismay, the poacher wasn't home. So he just plopped himself down on a nearby couch so that when Markov returned, they could have a little discussion about what happened. The tiger wrecked the cabin, destroying everything that it could get its paws on, and then to its delight, Markov made his way back in, and the tiger promptly murdered him. The lesson here is simple. If you decide to mess with a tiger, you better be sure you put them down, or else it could end very poorly for you. Thanks for watching. What do you think about these animals getting revenge? And have you ever had an animal get revenge on you? Be sure to let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe, and I'll see you next time on World 5.